Hello, my name is Donovan Fichtelberg, and this is my final video for Art History 112F. The topic for this video will be comparing and contrasting half-human, half-animal figures in ancient Greece and ancient Egypt, specifically the Centaur and the Sphinx. So to begin with, the Centaur is from ancient Greece, specifically the Minoan era, while the ancient Egyptians created the Sphinx. The Centaur is a mythical beast, having a horse's body with a man's head and a torso in place of the head and neck of the horse. There are many theories as to how centaurs came to be, but the two most popular seem to be A. They're the children of Apollo, and B. Zeus created them. Although their way of creation is highly debated, their ferocity and savagery is not. These hybrid species were savages that are symbolized by anger and rustic barbarism. Because of this, the centaurs became great mythological characters, and it is believed that they became allies and even close friends with the Greek gods in order to protect them. There are many ancient Greek images in which we see centaurs fighting each other and other humans to symbolize their ferocity. We'll come back to one of those pieces in a moment after a brief description of the Sphinx. The two pieces of art with centaurs in them that I want to focus on here are Hero and Centaur from Olympia and Centauromachy in the Parthenon. The Hero in the Centaur piece is very simple and characteristic of Greek art in the 8th century. It has mostly curved edges and is just a very simple greeting between a centaur and a human, which is believed to be Heracles and Nessos. This depiction shows the friendly nature of the centaurs and their relationship with the Greek gods. In the other image, we see a chain of events involving a centaur and a Persian man. This picture tells a story of a war between the Persians and the Greeks, in which the centaurs played a heavy role in defeating the Persians and maintaining the homeland. This piece highlights the very opposite nature of a centaur, one of the savagery and ferocity. This is essentially what the Greeks thought of the centaurs. They were friendly with the gods and did anything to keep them safe. The Sphinx is a recumbent lion with the head of a man, and in some cultures also has wings and the tail of a snake. The Sphinx originated in Egypt, but eventually made its way to Greece and India, where those cultures have made their own interpretations of the species. They were powerful and regal creatures, but as I said, their appearance varies from culture to culture. Overall, the Sphinx was viewed more as a figurehead than a scary creature. The Sphinx has a more famous personality, and rather than bullying people physically into winning battles, they simply rule over men by staring right into their souls. The Great Sphinx, which presides in Cairo and guards the Great Pyramids of Giza, is one of, if not the most important pieces of architecture ever created. Since the Great Sphinx has stood for over 4,500 years, it tells a great deal of history in its architecture. The body is made out of limestone, which is abundant in the area, and the head is made out of bedrock. This specific Sphinx is quite simple, as it is just the body of a lion with the head of a man. In Egyptian culture, the Sphinx is always pictured as a man. However, some of the Greek Sphinx are depicted as females as well. Underneath the building is a complex route of tunnels and booby traps to protect the many expensive jewels and rocks that accompanied the tombs of the pharaohs, such as that of King Tut. The Centaur and the Sphinx share one big similarity, and that is their archetype. Both of these hybrid figures were used to symbolize strength, power, and protection over the kingdom. For example, the centaurs were savage people, and once they came into contact with Greek culture, they were used in many statues and pictures that stood inside the mythical locations like the Acropolis and all over the rest of Parthenon in order to protect the gods who resided there. Similarly, the greatest Sphinx that was ever created was built about 4,500 years ago in Cairo and still stands in the same spot. Laying underneath the Sphinx are a complex group of tunnels and tombs holding expensive goods and the mummies of many great ancient Egyptian pharaohs. The Sphinx serves as a mighty figure that scares away the antagonists that might come to hurt the souls of the pharaohs. Mythically, there are stories that the Sphinx could talk and were the wisest people of them all. There are myths about the riddles of the Sphinx that very few could solve. However, the biggest difference between these two creatures is the fact that they are different combinations of animals that protect different people, and therefore have different personality traits. The centaur is seen as a more crazy type of creature because it originated from savage nomads who did not live by rules and morals. They were known to fight for anything, giving them a more scary persona. On the other hand, The Sphinx was a wise individual who defeated his enemies through intelligence. The aforementioned riddles were enough to get enemies away. Although both of these creatures were in charge of protecting the gods and goddesses of their respective cultures, they did so in completely different manners. And these are my sources. Thank you.